Hello, everyone, and welcome to Padawan Unlimited. It is the end of day 2 for the first ever Sector Qualifiers here in Milan, Italy for Star Wars Unlimited, the trading card game by Fantasy Flight Games. I am so excited to have been here and talk about this event. But before we begin on the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps with the channel and really motivates me. Thank you so much for your consideration. Okay, so a champion was named. I think his name is, and I apologize if I mispronounce the name, but I think it's Franciszek, who hails from Poland. I actually never got to actually speak with him, but I think that's who it is. Django Tarkentown in the finals. Well played, sir. Congratulations to you for being the first ever champion of a sector qualifier. That is quite an accomplishment. Again, really good games. Congratulations to you. Also, as an American coming into Europe to participate in this event, thank you all for your hospitality. It was great to meet so many different people from so many different countries. The first time I've ever played against a French citizen, German, Spanish. Like, it was such a good experience, and thank you for your hospitality, being so friendly and welcoming. And then also with the language barrier, apologies that I was not always able to express myself the way I want to, but know that I appreciate you and thank you so much for hosting me. A couple shout outs, because there was a lot of questions, comments, and feedbacks that I received in between the first video and now. Link Wizard, I think, and Oscar and a bunch of other folks. I am going to write a video. I'm going to do a video that will more closely answer all the questions and concerns that you might have had. Like, is it worth it? What's the best way to grind tickets? Like, all of these more nuanced things. I want to be able to provide like a 20-30 minute video on that potentially, but doing that in a hotel room at the middle of the night, I won't be able to provide you with the best content there. So look out for that within the next week or so. I still need to make my way back into the United States, so we'll see what happens. But those are really good points to talk about, just in relation to everything outside of the main competition. So I have stitched together a variety of clips to kind of show what the tournament was looking like towards the end, as well as a variety of other things like the side events, how things were organized. Overall, this is the first sector qualifier, so there's going to be some bumps on the road, but it was actually really well handled. And I say this because I also have an exclusive, I think is an exclusive, interview with the program director of the Star Wars Unlimited Judge Program, Jonah. So stick around at the end of the video, or close to the end of the video, to hear that his insights into how the event was run, what he thought about the judge, what he thought about the judges, maybe some tough calls. We talk about anything related to judging for about 10 to 15 minutes, and it is really insightful to get into the mind of how the judges are working throughout the program. I'm a fan of the entire event. I know that there were some hiccups, right? But contextually speaking, apparently it's common or so in some large scale TCG events to not always have all the facilities that you kind of need. So the fact that we did have access to food, water, bathrooms and stuff in some form or fashion is, I guess, not always the thing. So we can't always take it for granted. I didn't have that context being a new kind of player. So now that I kind of understand where the community kind of is in other TCGs, I'm more appreciative of what's been provided. I will say that the staff, even from yesterday until today, their organization vastly improved, right? So they were learning. The organized play events was learning on the fly, and they did a much better job of organizing the players to get prizes and stuff on day 2. And so that's a good indication, I think, for future events. Now, is everything perfect? I'm not going to say it is. I'm not going to pretend like it is. There were some hiccups. There was a lot of things that started late, right? But again, this is the first time they've ever really done this for Star Wars Unlimited specifically. So, okay, there's bound to be hiccups, and I think that there's going to be a lot of lessons learned that will be good for the rest of the community as we move on with all these events. Ultimately, once we get to regionals and once we get to the Galactic Championship, a lot of these things are going to be smooth out, right? Real quickly, I actually want to talk about the prize structure. As most of you are aware, or if you're not aware, there are a variety of prize wall tickets you can get in order to trade in for prizes. It's not a literal wall, they had it on a table, but essentially what ends up happening is the more wins you get in these side events, which are paid side events, by the way, the more opportunity you have to have tickets. And you can then trade on those tickets for a certain value of tickets in order to get cards, pins, playmats, etc. Real high level, I think that if you're going to grind for tickets in order to get something, if you are confident that you will win a lot, then do it. If you are not confident that you can win at least 2 to 3 games or more for the side events, particularly the Premium Cup, which is like the mini tournament, it is not going to be economically viable for ticket generation. Okay, so for me, for example, in the first Premium Cup, I went 3-1, which got me 1,200 tickets. In the second Premium Cup, I went 2-2, which got me 800 tickets. And then the last Premium Cup, I went 4-0, which got me 2,000 tickets. And 2,000 tickets is what the cost is to get a playmat. And there are 2 playmats available. Everything else is kind of ranges from like 100 tickets to like 500 tickets. The t-shirts were like 1,400 tickets. So again, you're not going to get everything that you want because there's just physically not enough time. They actually closed off the prize wall ticket booth at 5:30 p.m. on Sunday, and the last event was at 3:30. So you either have to participate in the Premium Cup or you have to try to grind through an on-demand pod all day, and that could take hours and hours and hours. So I'm gonna do a video on this that's more in depth to be able to provide a little bit better analysis. That's just my initial opinion, but I did want to show you guys what I got because I did have enough, because of my record. I had enough tickets to procure. Plus, I had a couple extra. I had enough tickets to procure one of every pin. So as well as some other stuff. But I wanted to show you what this looks like. This is the Spark of Rebellion pin. So they have one for the first 5 sets. To be clear, I might be one of the few people in the world that has all 5 of these things. Like actually, not like a person who is part of the company. Shadows of the Galaxy. These pins are actually really, really beautiful. Look at that. Twilight of the Republic. Jump to Lightspeed, which is the newest one. And if you didn't notice, in some of my videos, Legends of the Force. They're already prepped for the next set. These are pretty hefty. They're 500 tickets a piece, right? So they're not necessarily super cheap, but I love pins. And the fact of the matter is I got to get the full set probably before pretty much anyone else. A lot of people are actually going for the game mats. Which again, I can understand because it's an exclusive game mat. You're probably never going to get them again. So, but they're 2,000 tickets, and you can only bring a game mat, everywhere, in only specific places where I can wear pins kind of anywhere. So I opted to get a full set of these. I also have a couple play sets for cards and stuff. So I just wanted to show you kind of what the quality looks like and some of the prize stuff, in person, a little closer, because they weren't necessarily, available to show in a lot of other videos. But you get to see this one firsthand, Spark of Rebellion. Isn't that pretty? I've heard a lot of feedback about how certain things are a little bit too expensive in terms of the game mats and stuff, and the pricing structure might not be where we want it to be. I am not an FFG employee, so I can't really talk about that. And this is my first FFG. This is my first TCG, so I'm just happy that I can win games to get tickets to get a game mat. But apparently, I don't know. Apparently, it was not as good as it could be. Maybe something we need to think about for the future. Again, if FFG decides to send out, or the tournament organizers decides to send out surveys, like they did for this last set's Avventuriero qualifiers, make sure you fill it out. I know I do, right? Because I want to be able to make sure that they have the right information so they can make good decisions that helps the player base. Okay, and with that, like I mentioned before, I have a variety of clips throughout the event that I want to highlight for you at the end of this video. So feel free to, I'm going to try to do my best to stitch them together so they all kind of make sense. But if it doesn't, I apologize. You can always, I'm going to properly label, or try to properly label each of them so that you can skip to the chapters you want to see. And again, I have a really big exclusive interview with Jonah to get his perspective on the judge program and the judging for this tournament. Please remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and until next time, may the force be with you. Hello everyone, this is Gil with Padawan Unlimited reporting in for the start of day 2. Round 10, I guess, pairings have just...
Once again, day 2 Swiss players, your pairings have been posted to Milan. Please take your seats in section A.
Yep, just confirmed. All of the pairings have just gotten set for the next round. As you can hear, there's planes going ahead. There's a lot of people all kind of crowding, and for those who like me who didn't make it to day 2, we're just getting ready for all the side events. It's very exciting. I hope to report something really cool by the end of this tournament, and I'll check in with you later. You know me, I also like to support the local game stores, so I decided to buy some stuff I don't already have in terms of the Twin Suns deck, but I also bought a couple packs from Lamporio. Support them if you're ever in the area. Thanks, guys. So, this is everyone who made it to day 2 for the first ever Sector Qualifiers here in Milan, Italy. As you'll notice, you see the head judge over there. He might look familiar to you, in the green shirt, by the way. For any of you who are in the judge program, check him out. He's making sure that everyone is seated at the right seats to make sure it's the right pairings. It's a good job. He's being very thorough. He's been an excellent judge, actually. I'm going to follow him a little bit. Been an excellent judge. He's been coaching a lot of the judges here. He understands that mistakes can be made, but the most important thing we do is we learn from them. But this is everyone that made it to day 2 for the first ever Sector Qualifiers. So they're setting up for round 11, and as you can see, they are blocking off the space so as to not disturb the players. I think they learned from the previous round that people on one side had like a crowd around them, and people outside. Oh no recording. No recording. Oh.
Sector Qualifier players, welcome to round 11. You have 55 minutes. Please begin.
Sorry, they're about to start. I thought the judge was telling me to stop recording, but he was just saying hi. This is very exciting. You can see that, again, they're blocked off so that no one can disturb them. Like I was about to say before, I don't think they're allowed. I think it was disturbing for some of the players that there was players on one side and not on the other, so they're being a little bit more even. Again, that's just speculation, but that's what I would imagine is the case. And they're also getting more space. As you can see, they moved over to, now they're in 2 different sections. Anyway, I'll report back after this. Round 12 has just started, and this is the best of the best. As you can see, there's more spacing, less people. Judges are actually really on top of those folks, and then they're actually barricading the entrances so that there can be no disturbance to the players, which I wholeheartedly agree with. Not that I'm like the best player, but when I've been at the top table at like a store showdown and there's like 10, 15 people crowding around me, that is very, very unnerving, I'll say. And I know I'm nervous, so I'm sure that other people would be nervous. But time has started. You can see some shaky fingers. You can see people preparing. Some people have actually already started to play, and we'll see where it goes. The last match went to overtime. It was like a Django Tarkentown versus another Django Tarkentown or something like that. And they just ended right at overtime. Anyway, so as you can see, there's 52 minutes left in the round. It just started, and everyone is locked in. So I have to show this, but they finally set up a TV for the live stream, which they didn't have yesterday. No, go ahead. which they didn't have yesterday. So we can actually see it instead of watching it on our phones. This is great, and as you can see, there is a crowd kind of gathered around this. I mean, this is round 12 already, and it's an Anakin Blue versus Django Tarkentown. That is an exciting matchup to see. Anakin Blue is just a great deck that I think is underrated and should take some wins, and obviously has. The clock has started for the last and final round of Swiss for the first ever Sector Qualifier. As you can see, we have people with waiting on bated breath, and here's the row. As you can see, there's a lot of space now between these players. You can kind of feel the tension. You see people's like hands shaking, nervous laughter. It's pretty intense. We will see who makes the top cut after this. So the long-awaited top cut is here. All huddled in one side, in one small row, all together with the head judge and two other judges recording and looking at the games. Although there's a lot of people talking, it is dead quiet in this section. And as you can see, you guys see a lot of other top players spectating. Unfortunately, like I said before, we are unable to get closer. I think that's a good move. You want them to be able to concentrate. We'll see who starts to reign supreme. Also, we can't forget about the top cut here playing at the premiere table where they're live streaming this game. So I can't get that close, but it seems to be Django versus Django again. I mean, statistically, we're probably going to see a Django win, but who knows? It's still only just the top cut. I wanted to sneak some footage of the top, one of the top players right now. Check out this guy right here. Piett Cunning. So cool, so calm, so collected. This dude has been breaking Djangos all day, and he's playing nothing but Djangos in the top 8, so I really hope he takes it all. Real quickly, we have the top 4 here already looking at deck checks and seeing the other person's list. They're getting prepared for the top cut. We'll see what happens. Checking in for midday. It's the lunch break for day 2 of the Milan Sector Qualifiers. Shout out to Oscar for hanging out with me for just a little bit and introducing himself. I always love to meet new people, so thank you so much for that. They are in the middle of handing out, or they just started handing out the showcases for the top 64 players, or those players who got the highest rank for the showcase for the leaders in the top 64. So they just actually handed out the first ever Luke Skywalker showcase. I'll have a clip of that kind of presentation at the end of this video. Very exciting stuff. I'm actually in the middle of eating lunch. I got this chicken sandwich, but you know, it's very exciting. At 2 o'clock, they're going to start, 2 p.m., they're going to start the second Premier Cup, which is a best of 1 for 4 rounds. And they're actually going to close all the ticketing at 5:30 p.m. So they're going to stop the last events at 3:30 roughly. So, you know, hopefully everyone who needs the tickets is grinding out as much as possible. And you probably hear inside people clapping. It's pretty exciting stuff to see people get the showcases for performing well. And I'm excited to see what the top cut looks like. They just announced the first person to ever get this showcase. They just showcased the first ever person to get the Luke showcase. Fantastic.
Jungle.
that's it. The conclusion of the sector qualifiers. Hello, everyone. This is Gil with Padawan Unlimited and McClunky Gaming. I am excited to be able to speak with the judge guy, the head judge guy, the head judge of all head judges, right?
Something like that.
So, if for those who might be new to the arena, would you be able to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jonah. I'm the program director for the Star Wars Unlimited Judge Program, which means I help with training and education, directing the philosophy of the Judge Program, talking with FFG about where we want to go with policy, talking with judges about where we're seeing issues, and then coming out to events like this, sector here in Milan, next weekend in Liverpool, and talking with judges, working with people on the floor, and then judging a whole lot.
Wow, you're going to be a busy guy for the next couple of weeks.
I am
or months.
Very busy, yeah. So I'm here in Milan. I'm staying in Europe for another week to do Liverpool.
Yeah.
I'm going to be for sectors in Richmond in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be at regionals for Minneapolis. I'm going to be in Vegas, and there's probably going to be some stuff in between. It's what I do.
Yeah, no, thank you for all your hard work, because being a judge is not easy, for sure.
No, it's not. I was about to be like,
No, it's okay. It's
I
okay.
just wanted to say goodbye to Jonah. Sorry for the
No, it's
interruption.
okay. No, of course.
Such a good work.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll chat
The event
later.
was very smooth.
I'll see you in a week.
Pretty much. I have a favor. If you could put some judge promo aside for Remy, because I got a set, but he just joined the team and he has nothing.
Yeah.
It's a bit sad for him.
I can put aside.
Only if you can. If it's a burden, don't do that.
Liverpool?
Yeah,
Fantastic.
See you
Thank
next
you.
week.
That's very nice.
Absolutely.
Have fun, guys.
Sorry about the
No,
interruption.
as you can see. Sorry, go ahead.
That was Nico and Remy from the organized play team at Asmodee and FFG.
Yeah.
And they're folks that I talk with all the time. But very busy, very distracted. It's been a blur this weekend.
I mean, as you can already see, we're at the end of a tournament, and people are still trying to talk to Jonah.
Yep.
So I won't take up too much of your time. I know you got a lot going on.
Yeah.
We're actually still not done, technically.
Yeah, we're almost done. We've got like 15 minutes left.
Yeah,
we're
15
almost
minutes,
done.
15 minutes left. I just want to ask a couple questions for you if you have a couple moments.
Please.
The first is, how do you feel about how the tournament? Are you happy?
I'm happy with the tournament as a whole. I have to be honest, get a little bit the Django mirror.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very enjoyable mirror to watch. It's a very skill testing mirror, I think. It's not just the luck of the draw.
Yeah.
But also, I watched that match a lot, and I would love to see a little bit more variety. I was delighted to see an Admiral Piett in our top 8.
Yeah.
There were also 7 Djangos in our top 8.
7 Djangos in the top 8. 7.
And so I watched that match a lot. But outside of that, the tournament was great. We had no major issues.
Yeah.
We had some longer conversations, some long time extensions, things that were a little bit complicated. But no players that I was just like, I need this player out of my event, or unhappy that they were in my event. So we had a great time.
I would agree with that. Being a player and being in multiple events, it was really smooth. And I actually heard you coaching some of the other judges. Even if you make a mistake, it's about learning through the experience, about learning. So I thought that was really good coaching.
The judges we had here this weekend were great. A lot of them are, for some, this was their first TCG. For some, this was their first judge program.
First judge program. Wow.
For some, this event was their first event as a judge. They'd done small stuff at their local store, but it was their first competitive event.
Wow, interesting.
And we had a lot of people with language proficiencies who had skills from other things, and we brought them in. And so there were a ton of learning opportunities, and talking with the judges, even judges who had been judging for a while coming in here.
Yeah.
They're like, I have learned more today than I have watching every single lesson, judging multiple planetary qualifiers this one day or these 2 days now.
Yeah.
They're just like, I learned so much more, because to be fair, over the course of a planetary qualifier, you see roughly, I think, 1,000 or 2,000 total games.
Wow.
I think it's less than that, because it's 7 rounds with 100 players. Math. You're like 1,000 total games with a 550 player event and 9 rounds of Swiss yesterday. You're looking at 9,000 games, and so there's so many more judge calls.
Yeah.
And things that happen only once in 10,000 games. One of those happened yesterday.
Wow, really?
I mean, just things that are incredibly rare. They happen. You could go to 50 weekly plays or showdowns, and nothing crazy ever happens.
Yeah.
But that's because so few games are happening to compared to an event with hundreds of players and 13 rounds of Swiss.
Yeah, 13 rounds. That's a lot. That's a lot.
It's
of rounds.
a long tournament, but a lot of weird stuff happens, and so you get to see that, and you get to have conversations, not with just one other judge or two other judges, but we had 15 judges on staff total, so you could talk with somebody and be like, hey, we had this interaction. An interaction that came up was the original Spark Rebellion Luke leader. Who has put a shield counter on a heroic unit you played this turn.
Okay.
What happens if you play Jump to Lightspeed Luke as a upgrade onto a vehicle, then the vehicle is destroyed and he ejects to the ground arena and he's now a unit? Is he a heroic unit you played this turn?
That's fascinating. Yeah, I have no idea what I would say.
My answer is there are two extremely valid arguments. One is he is a heroic unit and he is a card you played this turn, you can put a shield on. The other argument is he is not a heroic unit you played this turn. He is a heroic upgrade that you played this turn that became a unit you cannot put a shield on it. This is something that we've asked for clarification on because we're not certain, but that's not something that would come up at most events. And even if it did, you wouldn't be able to talk with a bunch of other judges and say, what do you think happens here? So having so many judges around is great. As I mentioned, you said this will be short. You haven't watched enough of our broadcasts with me and Tim where we're like, it'll be an hour and it's 2 hours.
I don't have the brain capacity to be a proper judge. That's why I'm just a player. And I'm a Sabine player at that. I'm sorry, guys.
See, I don't have the brain power to be a player. That's why I'm a judge. The last time I played an event, I went 2-7.
Oh, no.
I am bad at playing games. I know the rules. I know how to make the game work. I don't know how to make the game work to make me win.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. One other question, if that's okay.
Absolutely. So, as many as you got.
If there's anything that you could change, for a large scale tournament like this, in terms of judging, not how things are organized, 'cause that's what you're focused on. What would you suggest? I know it's kind of a loaded question.
What do you mean by in terms of judging?
Oh, like, would you change any parts of, like, how judges work, I don't know, collected? You said there's 15 of them.
Yeah.
How it's organized? Like, this is the background stuff that no one ever sees, but, like...
It's complicated, is the short answer.
Yeah.
So, one of the great things we had at this event is we're in Italy, I'm an American, I speak English, and that is arguable.
Yeah.
But we had a bunch of judges who are native Italian speakers, we had judges who spoke Dutch, Portuguese, French, Spanish, and a couple of other languages. And so making sure that, particularly for international events, having judges who have those language capacities and capabilities is incredibly important.
Yeah, the language barrier,
There are a lot of players, especially in Europe, are multilingual.
Okay.
However, to give them the best experience, sometimes they have a nuance that they want to express, and they just don't have the words for it in English because it's not their master language. It's not something that they're very comfortable with. And having a judge who can speak to them natively is
a native judge,
just so valuable. And they can, or we had a question about the condition of a player's sleeves. And the player was saying, yes, the sleeves are new. And to me, the sleeves were clearly not new. The issue is, as an airplane flies overhead,
it's Piett trying to take the win.
The word in Italian for new, nuovo, can mean either new or mostly pretty much unused. So, like, if you use a set of sleeves once and then don't touch the deck for a month and then bring them out for an event, that might, in their language with that connotation, be considered new.
Interesting.
Whereas I consider new sleeves to be sleeves you bought today from a vendor and sleeved up for the first time, or opened the box for the first time today and sleeved up the deck today. And so there was a communication mismatch, and one of the people that I was working with translation, I was like, I don't understand how this player can think these sleeves are new. And they're like, well, the word can mean either this or this in Italian. I'm like, oh, that explains it. Okay, I understand. And so having those native language speakers was hugely helpful. We're in a very rough state in the judge program right now.
Rough state in the judge program, really?
I think so. So this is something that I said in the meetup on Friday, which had incredible attendance. We had like 50 or 60 people show up, which was incredible. And most of them were certified judges, which is, again, great. But currently we have the Judge Apprentice certification and the Level 1 certification.
Okay.
By the rubric that I made, we want a level 4 or higher judge for this event.
Level 4 or higher judge for this event.
For Sector Qualifiers.
Yeah.
Are there any level 4 judges in the world?
I don't think so.
There are not.
There's only level 1s.
Are there any level 3s? No.
No.
Any level 2s? No. And so, while some of the judges, myself and many of the judges on staff, may have the capabilities and they have the rules knowledge and they have the training to be adequate for this event,
Sure.
none of us, including myself, have been tested on the rules at a high level. I'm comfortable with my policy because I've helped write some of the policy clarifications, and me being like, I don't know how policy works when I've written policy.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't ring true, but many of the judges here, I think everybody here was an apprentice or level 1 judge. I think maybe all level 1 judges. They haven't been tested on niche interactions. They haven't been tested on more complex policy. They haven't had education on those things.
Okay.
And so the thing that I want to change with the judge program is I want to have more time so I can do more work, so I can educate everybody better and make the entire judge program better, because right now we have, in 2 years, if somebody says the head judge of Sector Qualifiers is a level 1 judge, you'll be like, I don't want to go to that event. Because while there are many qualified level 1 judges, they haven't been tested on it. We don't have evidence that we can put that much trust in them. And the judges, again, were absolutely fantastic. I don't think anybody here did not deserve to be here.
Yeah, no, I'll say, these judges were great. I had to call the judge a couple times because I had a very specific mechanic with Blonde Sabine, where I sneak attacked Flute Lieutenant for 5, and every single person I did that to asked like that, you can't do that.
Oh, nope. Yeah, you can.
So I had the same thing happen 4 or 5 times throughout the tournament. So I'll say they responded really fast, really well, and they, like you said, they explained in the local context, which I thought was really great.
Yeah. And so people are competent, but we don't have the certifications and the qualifications.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to have those so that there's even more confident and it's even easier for tournament organizers to determine who their staff is.
Yeah. Okay. So
we'll wait for the announcements.
Please look for the piece of paper that shows standings and make sure to join the queue that is relevant to you.
Prizes. Very important. More
Yeah.
important than us yammering over here.
No, but you know what? That's a perfect segue, because this is we're at time. I promised you 10 to 15 minutes. So thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate all your hard work and all the work the judges did.
Yeah.
So, and I hope to speak to you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to reach out anytime.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Have a good one.